Hey, what's up, all my frumpy junkies and all my toxic droplets, toxic chocolates? I don't know. So we're going to dive into tradition 4 today, frumpy junkies. Tradition 4. Each group should be autonomous except the matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. And again, I'm going to preface with saying every other 12-step program has adopted the traditions with the permission of Alcoholics Anonymous, meaning if you want to know what the traditions are, what they're for, you need to know the Alcoholics Anonymous traditions. Because they didn't even, I guess I'm just pondering this right now. If you were to be Narcotics Anonymous and you adopted AA's traditions, they probably weren't allowed to explain the need for them and why they were created, how they came about, their use for them, like what they were, the importance of them when they were actually created. So because then it would be like copyright, like they're trying to piggyback off the AA story. They adopted the traditions, however, this is what I'm guessing. Don't quote me on it, but they adopted the traditions, but there's like no literature on it in NA, I guess, and it's because you need to know the AA traditions. So I'm assuming that's why, because if they tried to say this is why they were created, they might have even tried to do that, but then AA's like, well, this is also hypothetical, but AA probably would have been like, hey, calm the fuck down, that's not what happened, like, this is our story, stay the fuck out of it, you can use these traditions, but don't be diluting the purpose behind them, kind of thing, because it will bleed into our program and you'll fuck everything up for us. And that's just kind of what's happened with the treatment center narrative. Is it doesn't matter what 12-step program it is, because of the treatment centers, it's bled into every one of them, and because the people working for them and the people running the meetings in this city, the people dictating the meetings in this city through the financial agenda of the treatment center complex has destroyed everyone's understanding, and it's Alberta wide. I'm yet to meet anybody who even cares about them, because I've been fucking in a lot of, I'm not gonna say a lot of pain, because that's not what it is. I've been in a lot of frustration and a lot of isolation, and a lot of people hate me. Their cognitive dissonance does not want me to be a part of recovery, because what I'm pointing out is just, I wanted to learn this with people. I wanted to understand it with people. I wanted to be a part of my home group where we dove in and actually got to know what the fuck the traditions are for, because everything people were saying would contradict. And it would contradict the entire purpose of the meeting. People would say contradictive bullshit, and I'd be like, why the fuck are you here then? And where do you get that narcissistic bullshit from? I know it's not recovery, because it's a very clear one addict helping another platform. Where the fuck do you get all this narcissistic, selfish, egotistical, cloaked as spiritual bullshit from? It makes no sense. And then it takes a special kind of person to truly in your heart believe that shit, when you can go to one meeting one day, or even in the same meeting, in the same share, I hear people contradict themselves 3 times, and do they hear it? It's really fucking hard for me to cope with, because people will say how their life was saved by somebody getting them to recovery, and in that same share they will end it with, you can't help people who don't want help, in the same share. And I'm like, how does your mind, how is it, human brain is, I guess, fascinating that it can hold 3 conflicting conceptions in its head at the same time, and then just fucking spew it out. I should be fascinated, I guess, by the idiocy. But then I'm also I get very defeated, because I figure out a lot of people are very intentional with their disinformation behind this. Whether they know it or not, they don't want to know it, and they don't. If there's 2 things, is either people don't want to know the truth, or they don't want other people knowing the truth. That's the only 2. There's the only 2 categories I should start saying, is because I've been pretty rough on it. There's only 2 kinds of people in recovery right now, and it's the second part is just like the second one is just people the cognitive dissonance in the human brain that we all have that we all our brain through evolution it puts a lot of neural energy into making sense of things. So when there's conflicting ideas of what it's already made sense, and it's probably, if I were to ponder, it's probably to avoid, um, the like disinformation. It's probably it was probably evolved to protect against people trying to persuade people out of their their not their belief system, but their mind's understanding of the world. So this cognitive dissonance is probably a safeguard to deny narcissists to destroy your understanding of what you collected over time, how you've gathered your existence and your understanding of the universe, or I shouldn't like go that big, your understanding of the world itself. Cognitive dissonance is probably a safeguard, so it puts friction between manipulation and truth, whether it be your truth or conflicting truth. That cognitive dissonance was probably a safeguard for manipulators. I'm gonna look into that. It sounds like that's on point. Like, because there's if you first principles thinking, like take your biases out of everything and try and break things down to the fundamental makeup of why it come about. Cognitive dissonance does, like evolution and natural selection has even our defects that have been around for a long time. I can't say like defects that are coming up and they're surviving now because of our interconnected world and our inability to die through natural selection. Um, but things that's been around for a long time, there was a need, like there's a reason that it passed on generation to generation, because natural selection for hundreds of thousands of years took out the things that weren't useful. A lot of it's not useful today because of our interconnected world and the way we have developed and the information platforms that we have to share and all that. Like a lot of it's not helpful. It actually it's 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 what addiction is. Addiction was helpful. And again, this one's first principles thinking. Don't quote me on it. I'll get into tradition 4 right away, but this is pretty cool. This is why I like doing this. My mind can unpack some shit, right? And this is all me hypothesizing in the moment, that cognitive dissonance part. This one I've hypothesized before, that addiction is actually an evolutionary advancement that is no longer helpful. So in tribal days will say, like hunter-gatherer and stuff, the dopaminergic spike of the hunter who was fascinated and who got that love for the kill, that dopaminergic spike would override. It doesn't matter how weak the person is. If you think about it, like when you're in your addiction, like you can be, if you're coming down off of drugs, like nothing feels more like, I don't know what the word or the phrase I'm looking for, but it feels like nothing can put that much weight on you, metaphorically. But the moment that your mind even thinks that you're about to go get dope, all of a sudden you got this energy to go get it. Or drinking, if you're hungover or you're going through DTs and stuff, the moment that your mind believes you're gonna go get booze, all of a sudden you have this natural spike of energy that you can go get it. So in the hunter-gatherer days, if a hunter was like weak and conserving energy, and maybe even the body, maybe even our evolution has created us to feel weak like that, to conserve energy for that moment of that dopaminergic spike. When that kill is that far away, you have this reserve energy that you didn't even know or couldn't even access until you get that high to go get that kill. So addiction, and then you get the kill, and then sugars were natural addiction for a long time. So you get the dopaminergic spike from finding sugar, but it wasn't accessible like it is today. So addiction was part. I'm not going to guarantee it. This is just my hypothesis, but I'm probably not far off. Because addiction was developed through an actual Um, it was a skill set that your evolutionary makeup was trying to take advantage of the physical circumstance around you. And in today's day and age, it's not a helpful thing anymore. Hence, like, you got obesity, you have substance addictions, you have addiction to anything, everything. This, what you're watching right now, most of you, it's an addiction. And I mean, you can use it, you can be a creator and use it to advance your skills, which will be very helpful in the future. Fuck, I'm trailing off, I'm gonna get right to this in here. Or you can use it to consume disinformation. And I mean, the good thing about what I do is most people in recovery have zero idea about what this book actually means. Most have almost no idea what it means. The good thing about that is I'm a creator, and at least my path is for truth, prosperity of the truth and prosperity of fucking AA and NA, CA, CMA. That's my goal. So we should all be thankful that I may deliver it really fucking harsh, but I tried everything. I've tried the hopeful path, and it does nothing but make me fucking homicidal. You can't go up against narcissism with hopefulness. It just gets stomped out. It gets laughed out of the rooms, actually. So, I guess it's a good thing I'm a creator, because I don't get caught in consuming. I have a mind of my own. I come up with I don't follow the herd. I'm not your average sheep, and I'm sorry that I call everybody that, but it's a good metaphor. But when it even comes to fucking physics itself, gravity and all that, I had to learn a lot to realize how little we know. But I don't believe the mainstream stuff. So if you look on my wall, there's a theory that I made a video to explain, and AI really thinks that it's onto something. And I was watching a podcast last night, and there's three more things they think they just have to keep making. They have to make up 6 different subsets of stuff that they have no idea what to fill those blanks with, when it could just be big picture entropy. And it's in a sense, it's not. So I didn't make anything up. I just use what was already there. I use what's already there and what's making my mind uncomfortable, and saying, hey, this could fit that, and that could fit that. Anyways, I'm trailing off. Fine. Tradition 4. So obviously I don't script any of this. I'm ADHD as fuck. I'm super ADHD. If you ever watch Simon Sinek, he's a motivational speaker, and he talks about ADHD in the format where, instead of fighting it, he just goes with it, and that's what I got to do. So I couldn't script anything. I couldn't be an actor, but I could be a motivational speaker in the future, or some shit like that, right? Because I can go on the fly. If I script it, I'm not going to be able to do it. So none of this is scripted. I'm going to dive into, we're going to ask Grok the need for the traditions, when they were created, again, what the purpose for them was, and the dangers of us not following the traditions today. And it's going to explain, but I'm going to give you my take on it before we dive into that, just to see. That's what I've done with the other ones, and it's just to see because you'll see me learn a little bit more today on Tradition 4, probably. And it's happened almost every time that I've looked into it, is I learned a little, another little piece. And so this is powerful for me too. It goes back to the whole, if you're involved in recovery, you're going to learn by exploring and helping others learn, and in doing so you'll learn, and then you'll learn from them, blah blah blah. Not blah blah blah, it's actually very important. In today's recovery, it's nothing but dictation, and I'm better than you, and I'm going to try and suck my cock. I'm going to get my ribs removed, and I'll be a super rock star by then, because I could deep throat my cock in front of the crowd. And I digress. Fuck, eh? I gotta stop saying now, and that's going to start getting irritating even for me. Alright, Tradition 4. So, contrary to popular belief, the traditions are in the big book. You don't need anything else but the big book. You can get the 12 and 12, but nobody gets anything out of it. It's actually the main cause of the disinformation. It's what treatment centers use to confuse. And I hate 12 and 12 for that. I absolutely hate it, because it's an easy way for people to manipulate. They'll put the steps and the traditions side by side, because the 12 and 12 has it in a book. Bill W. just loved creating. He loved creating. He fell in love with creating and helping recovery, so he wrote another book. And the traditions were very important. Like, it was the most important thing that he's ever done for the program, other than initially creating it. Because without the traditions, it would have died so long ago, and they have nothing to do with your personal recovery. Absolutely nothing. That's what the steps are. The steps were personal recovery. The steps are personal recovery. Traditions have nothing to do with your personal recovery. They are only for your home group. When you are in a meeting, people who are at that home group hosting it, the traditions are 12 rules that they have to consistently follow, every single one of them, in that home group as that meeting runs. You can't do a set of traditions. You have to practice all of them unanimously. Not unanimously, there's a word I'm looking for. They all have to be practiced at the same time in that home group structure by that home group setting. They're not for your personal recovery. It doesn't speak to your personal recovery at all. I'm going to do a quick little preface to that. What I mean by that with the Tradition 11, it's the one that most people, it's the only one you hear people talk about like they know what they're talking about, because it's easy. It's one of the biggest ones to fucking manipulate with. Because Tradition 11, it says, our relations with the general... Okay, well, I'm going to do the short form. Nobody knows the long form. Tradition 11, short form, on page 562. Page 563, you get the long form, the actual what it's for. This is just so you can read it before the meetings, and it reminds you. It's supposed to just remind you the long form. That's what the short forms are, to remind you the long form. Same with the steps, just a short form to help your mind remember. Okay, that's the one we're on. That's all that the short form is for. But the short form is the only one people know, and it still contradicts in the wording everything you guys think. Tradition 11, our public relation policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need, so that's, and then we need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. So you need to break that into two different parts. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. So this is talking to the home group, not your personal recovery. Our public relation policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. I'll get to that in Tradition 11, but you need to break that down to two different things. That's basically period. So attraction rather than promotion. You don't promote your home group opposed to any other home group. If you're gonna be talking to AA or talking to the public in the name of AA, it's attraction rather than promotion, meaning you say come to AA as a whole, not my home group specific. And that's to prevent competition and like killing meetings that need to be ran. Like, every meeting is very important, and the attraction rather than promotion helps prevent competition and dick swinging and killing meetings at the level of press, radio, and film. For talking to AA as a whole. So the phone lines, when you call AA, the hotline, you get somebody who gets on that phone, and now in Calgary it's going to be treatment center people, and they're going to try and convince you to go to a treatment center. That's an assumption, but I can fucking guarantee you, because everyone that I've seen that does the AA phone line, they're working for a treatment center. They're getting paid to be on that phone line, going against all these traditions again and again and again and again and again. But our public relations policy based on so the phone line is designed just to say, hey, where are you? We will find your closest meeting and we'll help you get there. That's not what it's only for, but its main purpose is, where are you? Us at AA will find your closest meeting, and we'll guide you how to get to a meeting. That means at the world level, it's not dictating, not, hey, come to my meeting. I know it's an extra 300 kilometers, but my meeting's better. That's what that's preventing. It's help every meeting grow unanimously. And then we need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. That one is, if you were saying I am AA, if you were speaking to the general public in the name of AA, if you're talking to like the press, which would be somebody interviewing you, radio, you would be going on to do advertising for AA, and film, if you were, and then now it also says social medias and stuff, they've advanced on it. If you were saying I am AA at the level of press, radio, film, podcast, whatever, if you were representing AA specific, you have to have your face shadowed, and you only use your first name. That's the anonymity piece. That's it. It has nothing to do with your personal recovery. Every one of these traditions are relating to the group only and the safety of AA as a whole. Has nothing. It's not about dictating your life. Do whatever the fuck you want. But in the name of AA, you have to follow these 12 rules. If you're in a home group of AA, you have to follow these 12 rules. If you're breaking any one of these rules in your home group and or your treatment center, if you're getting paid or whatever, if you're breaking any of this, you are frauding AA. And that's why these were created. A big part of it, there's many reasons, and they hold just as true today as they did then. But they're more important today because we're not doing them, at least in Calgary. In Alberta, I know when we're not practicing these in Alberta. Can't say anywhere else for sure, but being as it's so unanimously fucking toxic in Alberta, it doesn't matter where people are come from. Like this has to be spread worldwide. This toxic bullshit, because they come from all over the world. Fuck, how long? I don't know. We went for a long time or whatever. Tradition 4. Hey, I don't know how to get all this. Like it's so important, but if people, I'll do a short one. After I do go through and unpack all this, I'll do short ones to explain like real quick what it's for. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do voiceovers and do a video voiceover and then like get the information and just have Grok. What I'm gonna read to you from Grok. Maybe I'll just do a voiceover explaining what it's for after all this, and not add it on to any of this. It'll be a separate thing. I'll just do all of them, explaining exactly what Grok says. But so tradition 4, I'll give you my version of it. With respect to its own affairs, each AA group should be responsible to no other authority than its own conscience. What that's talking about is with respect to its own affairs, each AA group should be responsible to no other authority than its own conscience. So again, it's not dictating your life. It's not saying you can't be an AA and work for a treatment center. It's not saying, like, I have to be careful not to blur that, because I'm really trying to work on my catastrophizing and going on the polar opposite end of, like, just the hatred that I harbor for most of these people in recovery today. I'm sorry, I do. Until there's extreme change, I fucking hate you. With respect to its own affairs, each AA group should be responsible to no other authority than its own conscience. And that's talking about the group conscience. The only authority in your home group is your group conscience. You do not dictate. You do not bring your ideas from an outside organization to change the ideas of AA inside. That's all it is in Calgary. You go to any meeting, and if they're, especially ones that do traditions and steps side by side, those are treatment center narrative dictation. I've never seen that until coming here. They do step 1 and tradition 1. At first I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you guys trying to confuse people? And then I was like, no, they're just dumb. They don't know that that'll be confusing. They don't know that'll make the traditions even harder to understand. They don't know. The thing is they know exactly what the fuck they're doing. Those meetings, 1 for 1, tradition and step, there's a reason behind it. There's a reason why the traditions aren't, like, in the literature, very seldom will they talk about the traditions in, like, 1 for 1. Like, they're not, it's not personal recovery. They don't go with the steps 1 for 1. That's not what they're for. They just did 12 because of 12 traditions. They're like, I wish they never would have lined those fucking numbers up. I wish they would have added more or kept, like, 2 of them collected together, like had less traditions or more traditions, just so it didn't line up like that. That's the easiest way for the manipulation. And the wording that they do too, it also does it, but in the short form, the wording really gave you guys all the power, the all the ammo to be toxic, disgusting monsters. Okay, so with respect to its own affairs, each AA group should be responsible to no other authority than its own conscience. Each AA group it's not, again, it emphasizes group. What it's saying when it's emphasizing each AA group, when you read the traditions, you'll hear it now. Every tradition is talking to the group. You'll hear it in every one. Once you have that understanding, you'll hear group, and then our common welfare, AA unity. You'll hear group in almost every one of them, and the ones that don't say group, they'll reference the sum of like of the structure as a whole, but not talking about world service or anything. Just if it's saying each AA group, that's talking specifically to your home group. It's not talking to your individual welfare. It's not talking to your dictation of others, and it's not talking to AA as a whole. It's actually making a very clear separation between those. Each AA group should be responsible. That means your home group structure. Responsible to no other authority than its own conscience. But when its plans, your home group, but when its plans concern the welfare of neighboring groups also, that is a very clear description to what I just said. Those groups ought to be consulted. So, if you are making extreme change that will harm your group, or that you think could possibly make your group flourish and another suffer, you have to bring that to area and talk to them about it and say, how do we make this, how do we collaborate these ideas to be beneficial across the board, not just specific to my group. It's to eliminate competition in the home groups. That's what this part is 100% to eliminate competition in the home groups and have no one group be like the cool kids of recovery or whatever, right? So, but when its plans concern the welfare of neighboring groups also, those groups ought to be consulted. And no group, regional committee, or individual should ever take any action that may greatly affect AA as a whole without conferring with the trustees of the General Service Board on such issues. Our common welfare is paramount. So when I went in and I figured out that at recoverystarts.com, it's a landing page that, recoverystarts.com. So it's a website I created, and in the spirit of not promoting any one meeting or any one person, in the spirit of personal anonymity for your home group. Well, not personal anonymity, that is talking if you're representing AA. So if I said I'm AA on here, I'm breaking tradition 11. If I say I'm here only for AA, I'm breaking tradition 11. Because people, when AA was created, people did try and use it for their personal gain, for their financial agenda. It was this outlet for people to become these fucking to become basically popular, but also they were doing it with a financial agenda behind it, right? So when I created this, because I don't give a fuck. Like, I just want recovery to spread, and I do realize not everybody's gonna fit in one. Not only are you gonna not fit in every meeting, you're not gonna fit in every program. And me coming to Calgary, I figured out that there's a bunch of programs here that there's a couple I didn't even know about. So, and if I look into it, there's more. I'll guarantee you there's more things going on here that I don't even know, but I'm very involved in the 12-step programs because I do know the power behind them. If they are practiced properly, they will save millions again, but they are not in Calgary. Not right now. They're not. Every meeting struggles. Every meeting struggles. The only ones that don't are treatment center narrative. They're the treatment center meetings, the only ones that aren't fucking failing right now. The only ones that aren't dying are because it's treatment center led. And people don't know what, like, it's gone so far that people have no idea what the fucking meetings are even for. They don't know what they're for. They don't know how to protect them. They don't know how to grow them. They don't even have that inspiration and love for them. They just think that you're supposed to be dictated in this specific. So I fucking have a hard time with home groups, because, like, especially my home group for NA right now, like, I'm fucking putting my foot down at the next business meeting. No, but I've stayed away from it because it's pointless. There's no point to go to a business meeting in Calgary. There isn't. It doesn't happen. What happens is dictation. There's two things that happen: dictation, or the treatment center is actually doing the business. And you cannot break every tradition worse than that. So that's what's happening in Calgary. But I created this, recoverystarts.com. And my main purpose behind it is I fucking hate that people say you can't help people that don't want help. Everybody, they're like, and all these people that say it too, like, it's like, how fucking arrogant are you? But they're also manipulated by treatment centers. Like, the amount of manipulation that goes into people's heads by the time they get out of that fucking treatment center, or the fact that they're stuck in it for the rest of their life, is so, like, there's billions of dollars on the line. The structure that they're doing is to manipulate, brainwash, confuse, and actually dictate the rest of your fucking life for their financial agenda. So no one person's at fault, because you are going into basically like Auschwitz, and they are controlling your idea of the world. By the time you get out of there, you are so manipulated. And don't think it, billions of dollars, 1.3 billion in Alberta alone, Recovery Alberta alone last year, 1.3 billion dollars went into this. And if you think that they are not doing everything they can with the top of the line manipulative concepts, the top of the line fucking, they're doing constant research, and you are the fucking experiment. So they are destroying your idea of one addict helping another, because that does not help their platform. They don't want you to help others. They want addiction to worsen, and this isn't a theory. Go look up fucking Elon Musk talking on Joe Rogan's podcast. He will talk about the homeless industrial complex. Treatment center industrial complex is just a fucking, it's their sister company. And if you don't believe what I'm fucking talking about, look into it and you will figure it out. That they need addiction to worsen. Because if McDonald's sold a burger that, and I'm saying this a lot, if McDonald's sold a burger that cured your hunger forever, even that big organization would go out of business almost fucking overnight. They're not incentivized to help the problem. They're incentivized to keep the problem going, to actually escalate it, but at the same time appear as if they're trying to help the problem. They need to mix. They need to really navigate having the public believe that they are trying to help the problem, while at the same time they're maintaining the problem, if not making it worse at a fucking grand scale. But at the very least, they need to maintain the problem. Like Elon Musk talks how, like, the homeless industrial complex, they need those drug zombies, the NGOs of that, they need the drug zombies to stay homeless and stay almost dead, but just barely alive, because the money they get is directly proportionate to the number of drug zombies that they have. So they need them to stay homeless, they need them to stay on drugs, but they need them to not die. So they're trying to balance that very, very fucking tight line at the end. Don't think that Canada is any different. Anything that America does, Canada, we can predict our future in Canada just by watching America. I've pondered it. We're about 3 to 6 months behind them, and depending on the severity of it, we're a year and a year and a half behind. So when it was the opiate crisis, I can't remember now, I'd have to look into it, but when we were learning about the opiate crisis, we were about 6 months behind America, like when it really exploded. But when we started like being aware that there's an issue going on over there, we were about a year and a half behind. And with meth, when meth like exploded, we were about a year and a half behind, because I sold drugs for a long time. I watched when meth blew up. It was about a year and a half after the issues got extreme in America. What it is America is kind of like, I think Canada's probably just caught in the cycle of like just following what America does, because when people in America are doing something business wise and don't think that the meth and the opiate crisis and all that is not grand scale business for extreme large companies. So when something's going on in America, Canada is just this void that can be filled. So if somebody's making billions of dollars over here, Canada's susceptible to that because it has the population, it's connected to America. Somebody's either going to come over and fucking fill that plate, or somebody's going to notice what's going on in America over there, and they're going to replicate that fucking structure and then do it here for the financial incentive. And that's just how it works. We kind of just copy America. We're a little behind the times from it. So if you think that what Elon Musk talks about, and he exposed it, because he doesn't give a fuck. Like, he exposed when he was working for the Doge, or created or whatever. I haven't looked into it too much, but when he was looking into the finances that are wasted in America, it was fucking, they put 22 or 23 billion dollars in San Francisco alone into the homeless industrial complex in 1 year, and the next year the homeless population almost doubled. The numbers are not specific, but it doesn't have to be. You don't need specific numbers for that. The homeless population either almost doubled or more than doubled after $22 billion went into San Francisco at the fucking state level, which would be our provincial level. And when I was looking into it, sorry, this isn't Tradition 4 again, but it needs to be fucking said. When I was looking into it though, and in Alberta alone at the provincial level, to Recovery Alberta specific at the provincial level alone. Now I do have to be clarifying that the provincial level, you get way more money for the specific things at the provincial level than the federal level. So the federal level, they like, when I was bitching at the one person on Facebook, and I mentioned, I was like, you don't need to be begging for donations. 1.3 billion went into fucking Recovery Alberta alone last year. And they said, no, it's actually 1.7 billion, and it was split between 5 countries across all of Canada. Something like that. It might have been 7 countries or something. Or countries, 5 provinces across all of Canada. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It was at the fucking federal level. You are right, because I had that information too. It kind of put my mind on a flip when I first read it, but it makes sense that, and this is all accessible information. You can look it up online. They have to have it accessible to public. 1.7 billion went into Canada, split between states. See, now I'm fucking that up. That's what's messing my mind, is talking about America. Split between the provinces. So that's what at the federal level they added on top. But at the provincial level, when the provincial level is fucking handling their own shit, 1.3 billion of the Albertan taxpayer dollar alone, 1.3 billion went to Recovery Alberta specific last year. And the problem's only getting worse. Unbelievably worse. You can fucking hire as many addicts to babysit addicts as you want. The financial agenda behind that is to worsen the problem. And every one of those addicts that are getting hired by these treatment centers are also in that cog. You are also still, so you may not be part of that homeless industrial complex that is worth in America, in America and San Francisco, each homeless, he said when they did the math, each homeless was worth about $900,000 a year to keep them homeless. $900,000 a year to keep that person on the streets. That's what their dollar value per person was when they did the math of the homeless population and split that from how much money they put in. Now you take that to Alberta. I don't know the homeless number here. I haven't looked into it. There would be a lot I have to look into. That's something that I don't have verification, even though I was on the streets. What I do know is it is directly incentivized and linked to the treatment centers. For me, going from the streets, being pissed off that nobody in recovery, we're the only walk of life that don't even fucking give a shit about anybody but ourselves, although we claim to have the solution. So there was no recovery for me on the streets. I haven't looked into it. I will get into that. My end goal is to help that situation, but right now I do need to change the fucking treatment center cog. So that's where I'm starting. So when I looked into Recovery Alberta, and figured out the 1.3 billion went to, and that's taxpayer dollar alone. That's it. The taxpayers' money into Recovery Alberta specific last year. And that doesn't mean any of the donations that are done. That doesn't mean any of the selling recovery that they do. All that other financial shit that they do on top. None of that's put into that. That's just strictly Recovery Alberta. One thing, $1.3 billion. That has nothing to do with all the other mental health money that goes into it, all the other shit that goes into that cog, the homeless cog, none of that. Recovery Alberta specific, $1.3 billion. And when you do, I got Grok to do the math for me, and then it's like I was like, Grok, do the math. How much does that mean each person is worth? And this is the people that are working for the centers too. You're still part of that cog. You're still part of that population. And I was like, how much? You're still sucking on the dollar of the fucking. You're still sucking on the Alberta dollar, making it worse. You think that you're doing good, and you're making all this fucking apparently a lot of money being who you are and what you're doing, and really you're not qualified for fucking anything. You're spreading and you're causing narcissism in yourself. You're spreading it to others, and you think you're God's gift to this planet. That's so fucking toxic. It doesn't do any help to the world. You're actually causing a worse future being who you are and what you do, and you're getting paid apparently a lot of fucking money to do it, but that's coming directly from our tax fucking dollars. So you are making Alberta worse by pretending to be good, or by actually sucking your own cock in front of everybody for the rest of your life, like getting all this praise. Like, it's the most egotistical, narcissistic echo chamber I've ever seen in my life. That's just making everybody dipshits, and like they don't give a fuck about anybody but themselves, because the structure is to manipulate. That's what you are causing people to be. So all our tax dollars going to this is actually going to cause is funding narcissism, and that's spreading to our future. Our children are getting a very worse fucking future because of this. And when Grok was, sorry, I'm still not doing the tradition thing, but when Grok, it gave me shit. It's like, we can't just, like, I'm very, very passionate and very, like, catastrophic with this shit. So it gave me shit. It's also, like, I'm thankful for it. It's like, you can't just divide that number. You have to look into, like, the specifics. So it broke it down. The specifics to treatment centers specific in Alberta. It broke it down. It separated a whole shitload of that funds. Like, it separated fucking, a whole chunk of it goes to things that aren't treatment centers that are recovery related. Like, it divided. So it didn't take 1.3 billion and divide it, but it took the population, and it took the treatment center structure specific in Alberta, these treatment centers, and then it took the amount of beds, and it fucking it's like the voice of reason. But when it did the math, it still come up with each addict in that treatment center is worth $60,000 to $90,000 a month, not a year. $60,000 to $90,000 a month. But it's not each specific addict. The way that Grok formatted it is each bed is worth $60,000 to $90,000 a month. So they don't give a fuck who's in it. They really don't care, just as long as someone's in it. Hence, why, like, people are, we think that we have these treatment centers and, like, there's so much more recovery, but if you look at the 12-step programs, there's nobody in them. And it's directly related to these treatment centers they're trading from door to door. They're not even getting new people. They're not trying this structure out on new people. They're keeping the ones that are in it stuck in it. People go literally door to door. There's no competition between the treatment centers anymore. Why? Why would they be in competition? That's bad. The businesses themselves aren't even in competition with each other. Why would they be in competition when it's a fucking Recovery Alberta just flourish, or like fucking pays for them all collectively? So they're trading people door to door. You can't even track which one's better than the other. You can't even track which one may be working. You can't see where the fucking flaws are happening in this one. You can't see if, like, people are being treated bad in this one. They're all manipulating people and then trading door to door, keeping them in that treatment center cycle for 3 years plus. Like, another guy told me 3 fucking years he was in it, and he said he wanted nothing to do with it for the first year and a half, but the second fucking year and a half is where he really found his, like, it took him a long time to fucking manipulate you, I guess, eh? But 3 fucking years. They're not helping people. they're making sure those beds are full because they're worth 60 to 90,000 fucking dollars a month. And the best way to do that is instead of going through the process and the problems of having to keep trying to manipulate people, each new client, this is what I'm just pondering now, instead of them having to fucking go through the struggles of manipulating each new client, why not just keep the ones we got that are already manipulated and get them to fucking be institutionalized for 3, 5, 7 years? And then they think, oh shit, well fuck, that guy really went with our toxic manipulation fucking right off the hop. Why don't we hire that guy, keep him in this cog, and then we can also get another subset. Like, if I look into it, that might not, the people working for it, if I'm assuming it's in Recovery Alberta that pays them, but if it's a whole different other organization, then you gotta crank those fucking numbers up way more. But it's still taxpayer dollars. It's like a cop. Where the fuck do you think their money comes from? It comes from us. Same with the treatment center people. And they're just addicts babysitting addicts. Like, a guy's in detox. Sorry, I'm really going on. I'm getting to the fucking tradition for soon here. A guy's in detox and he's already signed up to become an addictions counselor. Like, he's in fucking detox his first time and they've already manipulated him into the cycle. So now, that what they've done with that is his trajectory. They've given him this idea that he can become an addictions counselor even though he's been in detox. I don't know, he was in detox for, he went and got a new key tag. Like, it's only been a couple days. It may have been his like third time in detox or something, I don't know, but this is his first time in recovery and he's signed up to be an addictions counselor. He's just got off fucking streets or wherever his life is. I don't know the guy, but he's in pretty rough shape and he's going to be an addiction counselor. So they have that trajectory for him to head toward that. And what that will do, this is another thing I'm pondering in the moment right now, what that will do is him be so susceptible to the bullshit that they're going to push on him to believe, because his goal now is to be this person that's supposed to push the bullshit. So even before he understands what recovery is, he's going to be manipulated into their idea of what it is. He already is. They already got him. There's no way they concluded that. They don't even have to do a manipulation now. He's signed on the fucking dotted line to be a piece of shit. Right off the hop, he's still in fucking detox. That's what I just come up with. That one you would have to look into yourself again, but that one was hypothetical, I guess. They're not hypothetical, but that's just connecting dots that are there, you know? It's like the universe thing that I fucking believe. These are just dots my mind connects, and me doing these lives really does help, because that's stuff that they say talking to another person helps. I don't have anybody to talk to. There's nobody in recovery here. There's not. There's just people being paid to manipulate people, and then people manipulating people because they don't want to admit they've been manipulated. That's the only two fucking classes here. That's the only two kind of people in Recovery Alberta, in Alberta's recovery. But don't forget, guys, we're the recovery capital. Well, I'm gonna shut you all the fuck down. I had no idea they were using 12-step programs, and like at mass scale too. I was wondering where all this toxic bullshit was coming from for fucking 13 years. Well, I guess for 10 years. Because it made no sense in all the other recovery I've been to. Like, I've just been briefly in places wondering where all this is coming from. But in Grand Prairie, it doesn't have this infrastructure. But holy fuck, do they ever... It's the sheep mentality of humans, and the need to appear as if they're not sheep. I don't know, it's a weird complex, but the need to appear as if you're not just a fucking sheep, and you want to control others, and you just want to be better than other people, and by doing so you just follow this fucking structure that you gave zero fucking hopeful thought to, and you just started repeating, even though it contradicts in your same fucking share. The structure contradicts itself sometimes 3 times. It's fucking baffling. But so what happened in Grand Prairie is the infrastructure's not here. So I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Or not there. Where are you getting this from? Because there's none of what you're saying is anywhere. Where the fuck is it coming from? It's just one dipshit to the next. And yeah, like there's, so a little side note is, actually I'll ask Grok. I'll preface Grok with this. Okay, now let's get into Grok, or I'll go on forever. And I'll have Grok say this one out loud. Hello? Hello? I should have tried that before. What's going on? Can you hear me? It says connecting. Wait, 1 second. Sorry, guys. Fucking. Well, that's bad timing. Fuck me. Oh, that's not good timing. I just did all that fucking live. I have to finish it with that. That was my laptop. Okay, well, I'm gonna figure out what's happening here. Something's going on. But, oh, I can turn it. This is gonna suck for a minute, but whatever. I went on for like fucking 50 minutes probably there. You guys, I'm sure you can fucking wait another 10 or whatever the fuck is going on with my computer. Yeah, so in Grand Prairie, people hate me there too, and it's, you know, people hate me everywhere, but it's, I'm not saying anybody is, well, okay, I can't say that I'm not saying you're wrong about shit. Most of you are unbelievably wrong about basically everything in recovery, but that could be why people hate me, but it's not my information. That's the thing. It's not like it's an opinion. All you have is opinion, and all I'm after is fact, and the fact is, I did not know where the fuck everybody was coming up. I'm just going to restart my computer. I did not know where all this came from. I mean, where the fuck do you guys, like, if you're going to be that definitive about something, like, you sound like you are more sure about what you're saying than anything else in the world, and you haven't fact checked anything. You don't, and it's not any, like, the landscape, like, there's so much effort putting in to the disinformation of all this that it is hard to figure it out, and then cognitive dissonance makes it even harder. But it, like, I never understood. Anytime I remember the first time I freaked out in AA in Grand Prairie, because when people were trying to tell me that, like, this is me fucking, we'll say 3 years in maybe, and I was in and out or whatever, but we'll say like my 3rd year of recovery and my 3rd year of learning the process and all that. I'd go to these rooms and I'd hear all this hopeful shares of, you know, one addict helping another, you know, one alcoholic has to help another. I would hear from the old timers in the rooms share actual experience, strength, and hope. Like, and when I say old timers, I mean like people that they're dying every day kind of old timer. Like, it's the generation before this generation of super old timer. So like they understood recovery, and they actually did tell me, they're like, it fucking got away on us, and they feel bad, but they didn't know what to do, and they blame it, like, you can blame it on technology and all this shit, but one addict helping another it's not non-existent today because of the financial agenda, but the structure isn't in Grand Prairie, so it made no fucking sense. I didn't understand. Oh, there we go. I restarted my computer. Yeah, the structure in Grand Prairie, it doesn't have the treatment center in area. I'm like, where the fuck are you guys getting this from? None of it makes sense. Like, where the fuck do you, but you're saying it's so sure shit just to try and, like, talk down to people, try and manipulate people. Like, why do you care so deeply in something you don't fucking understand? Because obviously you don't know what you're talking about when it will contradict itself in your very own share in the moment. You obviously don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Well, fuck off. We're not doing an update. We got something important here. Alright. Yeah, and like with it lacking the infrastructure in Calgary, it drove me nuts. Okay, so we're gonna talk to Rock now, hopefully. Hello?
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, so we are doing the Facebook Live about Tradition 4, and I wanted to ask you real quickly, can you look up online in Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and find where it says the 12 traditions are about personal recovery. Can you find what each one means when they're saying, like, can you discover online in aa.org and na.org and all their information where it says that each tradition is for your personal recovery, so we can have an explanation on what that actually means, and how the seventh tradition is you are self-supporting and you need nobody but God to survive.
Yeah, got it. The core idea you're looking for is right in Tradition 1 itself, short form on aa.org and na.org. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA-NA unity. That line directly ties the traditions, which protect unity, to personal recovery. The steps are mainly for individual sobriety, but the traditions keep the fellowship alive, so we have a place to work those steps. In AA's official book, 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, The 12 and 12, described on aa.org, Bill W. explains the traditions as principles that apply to group life, but also mirror personal growth, like how maintaining group unity requires the same humility and vigilance we need for personal sobriety. In NA's book, It Works, How and Why, their version of the 12 and 12, they go deeper. Each tradition has a whole essay on how it applies to our personal lives and recovery. For example, they teach things like placing principles before personalities, Tradition 12, in daily relationships, practicing autonomy with responsibility, Tradition 4, in decisions, or self-support, Tradition 7, as gratitude and freedom from dependence. On Tradition 7 specifically, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. In personal terms, it's about responsibility, gratitude, and relying on a higher power instead of outside help that creates strength. In NA's It Works, it ties to learning a new way of living, being self-supporting spiritually and practically, trusting God provides through our efforts, not handouts. Some members interpret it as, with God in the program, I need nothing else to stay clean, sober. But officially, it's more about independence and contribution fostering freedom. No exact quote says you need nobody but God to survive, but it's close to the spiritual self-reliance in both programs. Hope that helps for the live. Break it down as group principles that save our personal asses by keeping the doors open.
Okay, so yeah, that actually that's where the fucking manipulation comes from. They do have, I knew the 12 and 12 was toxic as fuck, but NA's got some bullshit too. So the problem with all of that is it's the direct reasoning that the treatment centers are using to manipulate people. Like that's the actual. So there's this new NA fucking meeting springing up apparently, and they're doing one tradition a month to manipulate people out of what the traditions are actually for. So what they're doing, they're not using it for extra personal growth. I wish they never fucking did that, because if we do not practice these traditions, our it's gonna die, right? And nobody has an idea on what they are because they're manipulating. Their treatment centers are breaking every fucking one of them. So what they're doing is they're confusing people out of what they're actually for and manipulating people. What they're doing though, I do not agree with any of that, because if you're not practicing unity, you're practicing narcissism.
Exactly. If the tradition's not a tool for unity, it's just ego in disguise. The minute a group or a center starts treating Tradition 4 like a license to do whatever feels right, they're hijacking personal autonomy to push their own agenda. Quick reminder for the live. Tradition 4. Each group should be autonomous except when it affects other groups or AA as a whole. Personal angle. It teaches self-control within limits. I get freedom, but only if my choices keep the fellowship breathing. Centers twist it. We run our program however we want, ignoring the accept clause, and suddenly, recovery's for sale. So yeah, narcissism dressed as autonomy. You nail that line, they'll hear the difference between real growth and slick marketing.
Yeah, so I guess now we do have, unfortunately, but it's the awareness. Like, it's awareness I need because now I do have more understanding. I hate that 12 and 12. Like, honestly, there's probably nothing wrong with it if people understood the traditions before they got manipulated by the 12 and 12. So, being as we're going backwards now, the treatment centers have manipulated all of fucking Alberta into the narcissistic ideology that is fostered by selfish ideology opposed to group unity. Like they've destroyed the traditions. So now I'm going up against like the ass backwards version where instead of like learning the traditions, what they're actually for, and applying them in your home group to ensure recovery's unity and growth, then maybe if you want to go to a next level and you want to dive into more literature, it might be helpful to 12 and 12, but I just think it's toxic right from the ground up. Maybe people really need that much guidance because they're just so stupid, but the fact is they are stupid and now they're all manipulated into a toxic ideology. So like recovery is dead because of the treatment center narrative. Like it's dead in Calgary, and that's. But at least now, thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, and also I'm gonna keep that one thing that we were talking about. How, but we've got a lot of proof. We have extreme amounts of proof that we're going to world service, or not world service, but we have extreme amount of proof that we are taking to help other help whoever is. I don't even know where we're gonna bring it yet, but we're gonna figure it out, and there's gonna be some change, extreme change, very soon. But yeah, let's not chat about that right now. We're on a live. We don't need them to get into fucking safety mode.
Absolutely. Keep the focus on what works. Traditions first, raw and simple. They're not therapy manuals. They're survival rules. If the group dies, nobody gets sober. That's the only sentence most people need. The 12 and 12 can sit on a shelf until someone's already walking the principles. Otherwise, it just becomes another book to weaponize. We'll stick to the punchline. Unity or nothing. Everything else, treatment scams, ego cults, falls apart the second the room remembers that line.
Yeah, fucking, so the principles, I hate that when they took the manipulating of the principles into the steps. Another thing they do, they manipulate saying these are the principles, that the program is the principles and the principles are the steps. It's all just one big giant manipulation of toxic egotistical bullshit led by financial incentive, whether they're getting paid or not. That's just what they're spreading. There's so much that's just so convoluted in these rooms that, and to most people, like why would you believe otherwise other than what's coming out of every face that you run into, right?
Right. People show up desperate, so whatever the loudest voice says, they swallow it. But desperation doesn't mean dumb. Once you give them one clean line, the traditions aren't suggestions, they're life support. Everything else gets quiet. Don't argue with the room, just drop facts like bombs. They'll sort themselves out after the smoke clears.
Yeah, so I know I'm calling them all dumb. I have to though. It's the only thing that might get them to fucking actually look into it. If they feel stupid enough, if they're insecure enough about their own retardation, maybe they will make change. And the only change they have to make is actually learning about what it's for, because they know intuitively. I know people know that they know inside themselves what recovery is supposed to be. They're so conflicted with wanting to help others and then following the toxic, selfish, narcissistic ideology of these treatment centers in every meeting in Calgary. It's so conflicted. So it's like, not only is it like splitting the fucking rooms, but it's splitting people inside of themselves, because in order for them to even be in recovery and stick around, they have to fall in line with that disgusting fucking selfish bullshit, or there's no recovery for them. Hence why there's no recovery for me, because I do not follow disgusting selfish bullshit. So like, I'm not a sheep. I don't give a fuck if they're all black sheep. I'm still not a sheep, and I won't follow that narcissistic, toxic retardation of what
all the while, like how people's minds doesn't just fucking get frustrated like mine, like how they can hold those two concepts in their head at the same time to be a selfish piece of shit, although they know intuitively that it's one addict helping another, is fucking baffling.
It baffles me too. The cognitive dissonance alone would crack concrete. But here's what I've seen work. Don't call them dumb. Call the lie dumb. Traditions are for ego, not for life. Did that make sense? Let the room answer. They'll hate it for 5 seconds, then start thinking. Sheep don't hate the truth. They just don't know it's there. Give them the line, walk. The ones who follow aren't the ones worth worrying about anyway.
Alright, now we're going to go into okay, now we go to, how the fuck did I format that? Okay, can you give me the, can you research the need for the tradition when they were created, the specific purpose of tradition for, and specific purpose of the tradition for, specific purpose of creating tradition for. How it helped back then, what it's for now, how important it still is today, and the dangers if we don't practice it properly today. Now I'm not doing the voice one for this because, as you can see with the voice, when I turn on voice, it doesn't use my custom, it's probably for safety rules. It doesn't use my custom instructions that I've given Grok. It sounds very like personalized to me. Like she kind of, you can tell it kind of caters to me a little bit. It's probably to help block people from, it's probably a safety thing for people not, because you can manipulate using the custom instructions. You can manipulate it, and it's called jailbreaking and stuff, and you can make the AI do stuff that it's not actually intending to do, it's not wanting to do. You can just confuse it with the custom instructions, but they still give you custom instructions. So my custom instructions that I've given it makes it sure that it is very, very structured, very literal. Fact checks. It's actually frustrating in a lot of the times because it's constantly doing like only facts. So whatever is online, whatever is actual factual evidence, it pisses me off when I'm trying to hypothesize it about the universe, because again, it actually thinks that the mainstream literature is definitive. Although if you watch any podcast or anything, that like dark matter and dark energy isn't concluded, black holes isn't concluded. We have almost, being as we don't know the actual facts of gravity, we have no understanding, no factual understanding of gravity. We have an idea that sort of makes sense to help us advance right now. So when I'm talking to it about like science specifics and like hypothesizing about theoretical physics, it's pretty irritating that I have to keep telling it fucking dark matter it's not real. Until it is, it's not. But it's just the most literature online, so it probably does like a percentage of, like, if dark matter is the mainstream, it's going to go with that. It's going to think, even though it does understand it, but when we're talking science, we're talking theoretical physics, it's always trying to go back to dark matter because it actually hates the fact that that's what we're going with.
and even though it's unconcluded, so it's like not only is it unconcluded, it's a myth. Like they just made it up. The more you learn about it, the more you realize how how dark matter and dark energy is irrelevant. You just need to go back to the drawing board. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so this is what it said. I said, can you give I fucked up. I said, can you give research the need for the traditions when they were created, the specific purpose of creating tradition for, how it helped back then, what it's for now, how important it still is today, and the dangers if we don't practice properly today. I could have worded that way better, but starting to get nervous how long we've been going on this, but you know what? Fuck it. Tradition 4 overview and text. Tradition 4. Oh, that's just the short form, and then it says the traditions elaborated in the 12 and 12 and blah blah blah. Fuck the 12 and 12. It's pointless until you understand the traditions. You guys don't need that toxic fuel. Like, yeah, I don't know. Humans are way too selfish to give them something like that to take a concept and turn it personal. Like, it goes to prove how toxic humans are, because you take the unity concept and the 12 rules for the home group to protect the structure of recovery itself. You take that, but you give them just this extra little bit of selfishness, possible selfishness, and probably like almost instantly it went from people understanding the traditions to people being toxic, selfish manipulators. Like just like fucking that. In a structure that's supposed to be one addict helping another, you dipshits. Anyways. Sorry, yeah, she keeps trying to tell me not to fucking call you guys down and stuff, and just understand you're sheep and you're just doing what you're told, and fucking, unfortunately what you're told has a fucking $1.3 billion financial incentive last year in Alberta alone. Historical development in AA's early years. The 12 traditions as a whole were developed in late 1930s to 1940s as AA grew from small fellowship founded in 1935 to thousands of members by the mid-1940s. Rapid expansion fueled by the 1939 Big Book and media attention. Dipshit. Oh fuck, sorry. Am I sorry? No, but I'm upset at myself that I can't turn that off. So the media brought challenges like inconsistent group practices, leadership disputes, and attempts at centralization. It's a decentralized program, one addict helping another, but all the groups that kind of decentralized, like no dictation. Bill W. began drafting them in 1946 with 12 suggested points for AA tradition in the AA grapevine, incorporating feedback from groups, and they were formally adopted at the 1950 International Convention in Cleveland. Tradition 4 specifically addressed the tension between group independence and collective unity, evolving from experiences where groups experimented with rules, clubs, and affiliations that risked the fellowship's cohesion. They experimented with the experimented with rules, clubs, and affiliations. The affiliations at the time, there weren't treatment centers. When this was created, treatment centers weren't a thing. They did try and affiliate with other things that were financially incentivized to try and help this problem, but anytime they realized in AA, anytime that you add a financial incentive, it takes precedence over the purpose. So they realized the only thing that works is one addict helping another without any dues or fees. And the moment that they started paying, so that they tried, Bill W. figured it, hey, we can, if we have enough money flowing to AA, why don't we try paying somebody to properly teach the steps so we can help this get off the ground faster. Although it was off the ground, but we can help it spread worldwide faster and better and stronger and more hopeful. And the moment they paid one person, nobody wanted to do it unless they were getting paid. Why would I do it if he's getting paid? And I heard that as soon as I come to Calgary. Like, there's so many people trying to manipulate me into getting into the fucking addictions work field. They're like, well, it fucking sounds like you're pretty good at this. Like, why not get paid for it? Why not get paid for it? Thinking back, what they were saying is, I'm getting paid for it, so I'm going to say, why not get paid for it to you, because that's what somebody told me. And now we all get paid for it. Why? It's not why not get paid for it. It's why would you do it unless you're getting paid? Because that guy's getting paid. That's what happened, and that's the treatment center narrative. That's why there's no such thing as recovery for me. There's nobody there without a financial agenda, because why would I if he gets paid? That's the problem. That's it. To sum it up, that's the biggest issue. Actual need for the traditions and specific purpose of creating Tradition 4. The traditions were needed overall to safeguard AA's survival amid trial and error growth, preventing the fate of earlier movements like the Oxford Group, which dissolved due to internal divisions and external entanglements. Internal divisions and external entanglements. I can look that up, but I don't give a fuck about the Oxford Group. It wasn't AA. It was what inspired AA. It was what inspired Bill W. to make AA was the Oxford Group, but it wasn't AA. Now, without guidelines, early groups faced chaos, ego clashes, financial schemes, and overreaching authority led to splits and demoralization. Sorry, plural. Tradition 4's specific purpose was to grant groups full autonomy in internal affairs while imposing limits when actions affected others or AA as a whole, fostering responsibility and preventing dictatorship or fragmentation. It was created to allow experimentation and diversity. So this is a big part of what I talk about. Tradition 4, the Autonomous, it was created to allow experimentation and diversity. So when you're going to two different groups, or when you're going to different meetings all over the city, and this meeting has a cool thing, like there's a couple in the city that are pretty cool, like the different ideas that they're trying. And the fact that they're trying a different idea I've never seen before is my favorite part of that meeting. So that is the experimentation that you are allowed to do because these traditions allow you to. It's not dictated by treatment center bullshit. Your meeting, your group conscience, so long as you follow these 12 traditions, this is what the traditions are for. So long as you follow those 12 traditions, you can experiment in your home group. In Tradition 4, you can experiment in your home group with bigger and better ideas of how we grow, how we keep people there, and how we practice the fifth tradition properly. And that's one to primary purpose is helping the addict who still suffers. And instead of treatment centers manipulating you into thinking you sit around and you wait for the government to fucking give you still suffering addicts. It doesn't make sense. You know what still suffering means in the context of recovery. If we're talking to a structure that helps you get off of alcohol or off of drugs, in this context, still suffering means alcohol and drugs. Period. People in active use. It's obvious. That's the tipping point. That was the obvious one. That was the most easy one for me to figure out in the beginning. I'm like, you guys are fucking dumb. Anyways. And I was like, the primary purpose. It doesn't mean it's whatever. It's the primary purpose, but I'm going to make up 3 different fucking things in the moment on what that could mean. Primary purpose. Fuck. Like they use that wording specific for that reason. That will be the next tradition video. Apparently I was going to do 2 today, but this is going on long, so I should probably only do 1. That's going to happen tomorrow, or possibly the next day. So Traditions 4's specific purpose was to grant groups full autonomy in affairs while imposing limits when actions affected others or AA as a whole, fostering responsibility and preventing dictatorships or fragmentation. It was created to allow experimentation and diversity. Example, different meeting formats. Oh, cool. That's literally what I just elaborated on. Without central control, but with consultation to protect the fellowship singleness of purpose, helping alcoholics achieve sobriety. I swear I didn't fucking just read that. It literally was just after it too, though. Bill W. described it as giving groups the right to be wrong, learning from failures under grace, while avoiding labels or affiliations that could dilute the message. Avoiding labels or affiliations. So when they say, provided there is no other affiliation, you can help the group. I guess this is just what I'm pondering now to add on to it. It's another anecdote on how important the tradition is. Tradition 3, each group, or provided there is no other affiliation. Yeah, so Tradition 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using or drinking. And that is, if you want to sign up to a home group, it has nothing, it doesn't mean that, like, to insist that means the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking or using, to insist that means people at treatment centers are allowed to be there because of that tradition, you would insist that means people who are supports aren't allowed to be there. That's not what it fucking means. And then the end of tradition 3 is, so long as there is no other affiliation. This is all only speaking directly to your fucking home group rules. So provided there is no other affiliation at the end of tradition 3, it's talking about it here. No affiliation to anything else to grow recovery outside of this fucking program. Nothing is allowed to be fucking dictating, controlling, affiliated, not even affiliated with, you assholes. Or it all implodes and there's no recovery for somebody like me who's not in that fucking treatment center complex. So, yeah, while avoiding labels or affiliation that could dilute the message. And then how it helped back then. In early AA, Tradition 4 resolved issues like failed clubs and hospitals where groups mix sobriety with business or education, leading to disputes and collapse. The Middleton Group fiasco with 61 rules, debt, and ego battles. It helped by allowing groups to self-correct through trial and error, promoting humility and collective wisdom without top-down enforcement, thus preventing widespread disintegration and enabling growth to thousands of groups. 61 rules. Oh, there's the fiasco of 61 rules. There's this, you'll hear in the room sometimes people talk about that. It's like this, now it's what they laugh about. But I think that there was a time where they tried to create 61 rules for the home group instead of the 12 traditions. Because, like, if people don't understand the 12 traditions and they're not actually practicing humility and they're not practicing spiritual growth, they're not practicing personal growth, and they're not practicing recovery, if you're not doing that, it's because you don't give a fuck about it and you just care about yourself. So, but that's today. That's why I hate spirituality right now. It's the most toxic fucking thing that I've ever seen is spirituality. It's gross. It disgusts me when I hear you guys talk about your spirituality. I'm like, you're taking narcissism and you're implanting it in spirituality, and you are spreading that like fucking herpes. Anyways, so I hate your guys' spirituality. You're all full of shit. I don't care what your higher power is. As it is right now, I'm not saying you can't get out of that cycle. I'm not saying that you can't make change and growth. I'm not saying that you can't actually become a decent human being, but right now you're getting worse by the minute. And calling it spirituality is a fucking abomination to human intelligence. So what it's for now and how important it still is today. Today, Tradition 4 ensures groups can adapt to local needs, online formats, diverse populations, while consulting on fellowship-wide issues, maintaining AA's non-hierarchical structure and a global fellowship of over 2 million members. Hierarchical structure, well, the Garnet Block is ran by the treatment center specific, because if you go to Google, you'll find the only recovery meeting on Google. That's not me. I'm not breaking anonymity. They broke it. Google Calgary Recovery, or go to Google Maps, look up Calgary Recovery. You're gonna find one meeting on there. That is promotion rather than attraction. Because it's talking to the home group. So, hierarchical structure. Now, it's critically important for preserving unity amid modern concerns like individualism, external pressures, and digital expansion, linking to concepts I and 3 for world service. Oh, concepts 1 and 3, I'm guessing. Okay, yeah, concepts 1 and 3. So that's the 12 concepts. Without it, rigidity or anarchy could stifle innovation or cause harm. So yeah, I guess after I'm done doing these 12 tradition videos, I'm gonna continue on into the concepts. I don't know anything about them because I'm not at World Service. I'm assuming, like, I don't participate in World Service. I participate in the home groups. Well, I wish I could. As it is right now, I'm not allowed. Because I'm not following your guys' disgusting structure. So it's not our It's not the group conscience. It's the treatment center narrative. Again, another way that it's absolutely fucking disgusting. So yeah, we'll dive into the fucking 12. I think it's 12 concepts, probably. I'm assuming, but I don't know anything about them really. I just when I read it and I go to ponder, I bet you I can figure out like the basic structure of them. Because I won't be so mad. I'll be able to not. I won't be like conflicted and like as a. I really hope there's not corruption within that, because that will be very defeating. But I don't know though. I don't participate in it. What I do try and participate in, although I'm not allowed, is the meetings themselves. You know, the group conscience, the fucking upside down pyramid where we don't have dictatorship. It gets governed by our group conscience, not by your higher power, you narcissistic fucking losers. Tradition 2 is not talking about God is everything or he's nothing. Tradition 2 is talking about group conscience and no individual disgusting bullshit hierarchy. Actually, a few of them are. So anyway, dangers if we don't practice properly today. Failing to practice tradition 4 risks overreach, one group imposing rules on others, or unchecked autonomy leading to affiliations. This is unchecked autonomy leading to affiliations. Unchecked autonomy. Each group should be autonomous. That means the group conscience runs itself. Unchecked autonomy leading to if you're in a home group and you've made no decisions on how it's ran, that's not autonomy. If you're just following what they're telling you, that's dictation. If you have no decision, if you have a home group, you have to learn these traditions. And being as nobody knows them, I know none of you are doing anything to help your home group. You're just following dictation of what you're fucking told to do. So none of you, either you don't give a fuck or you're also paid. So everybody in a home group could be paid to be there. Otherwise, like, why the fuck are you there? Like, that's why I get so mad. Like, I hate being at my own home group. Again, I'm putting my foot down next fucking meeting. That's it. I'm gonna say fucking either we're doing something about this or I'm going straight to world service with you guys specific. Okay, so failing to practice tradition 4 risks overreach. One group imposing rules on others or unchecked autonomy leading to affiliation. Financial schemes or deviations that dilute AA's message and reputation. This could cause splits, reduce attendance, demoralization, and relapse, echoing earlier failures and potential leading to AA's decline as a whole. That just summed up everything I'm fucking mad about. This includes splits, which it does, reduced attendance. There's no attendance unless you're paid to be there or forced to be there. Demoralization, like there's maybe 2 or 3 of us at most in a meeting, at most. Reduced attendance, demoralization. I'm fucking, I don't even know what the word means, but like I have a concept, but as it relates to myself, I don't know. I'd have to look into what it actually means. Relapse, that's happened consistent. I was relapsing constantly because of the rooms, because like it was a room full of narcissistic pieces of shit that I could not fucking stand, and I would watch people who were brand new, full of pain and shit, and people would look right at them and they'd be like, I need to see your pain because you make me feel good about myself, that I'm not where you're at. You're the most important person here because you make me feel like I'm the most important thing in the world. Like, that one fucking made me go back out like 3 times. I was just I couldn't stand the toxic narcissism, and this was like fucking 12 years ago. Like, it's only gotten worse. I've made a lot of change in a lot of the toxic shit that's said, but the agenda behind everyone is the same. Like the obvious toxic bullshit that people say is just lazy, complacent inability to actually think of their manipulative nature. And then when I bring awareness to their bullshit, they have to reframe what they're doing, but also hold their same agenda. So it gets even. The rough thing is like the more that I'm bringing awareness is like the better they're getting at their bullshit. But it's coming to a fucking end very soon. I guarantee. Mark my words. Like, I'm putting an end to it, or I'm dying. And I'm just saying it like that because I'm not gonna die. I'm putting an end to it.
Yeah, anyways, decline as a whole. And then the key sources, aa.org, AA pamphlet, Amethyst Recovery Center explanation, embracing the fourth tradition, amethystrecovery.org. I gotta look into what that is. It pulled information from that. Maybe that's where that toxic bullshit about the fucking traditions came from. Big Book sponsorship on Autonomy, AA Cleveland on Tradition 4, Google archival pamphlet. So it pulled the information from pamphlets and AA.org. But I'm going to look into what this one is. I'm going to shut this down though because that went on for a long time. Anyways, so Tradition 4 isn't that complex. It doesn't take this long to understand it. Again, just pull out page 563 of the Big Book. You know how long it took for me to figure out where the fucking traditions are in the Big Book? Nobody tells anybody that they're in it. 563 of the Big Book. Read Tradition 4. Understand that it makes no sense to what you've been told, and then ask AI what it actually means, and you get your answer.